want to pick up on a few of the points that Senator Franken made, because I find this really fascinating. The scientific community is virtually unanimous in telling us that climate change is real. Climate change is caused by human activity. Climate change is already causing devastating problems in the United States and around the world. And if we do not get our act together and significantly cut carbon emissions, that problem will only become much worse in years to come. That's what the scientific community virtually unanimously tells us. We need to cut carbon emissions. Very briefly, I would like to, and we have to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel. I don't have a whole lot of time. I would like to start with Admiral Papp and just go down. Do you agree with what the scientific community is saying about the need to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel? Admiral?
Senator, that's a part of our program, and we have put renewable resource.
Very briefly, sorry, I don't have a whole lot of time. Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, we should broaden out our sources for energy beyond fossil fuels, but the reality is we'll have to depend on them.
Mr. Herron?
Carefully.
Yes, Senator, is that in my community, we use diesel, remote location, icebound, 6 months out of the
No, my
year.
question is, do you agree with the scientific community that we need to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel?
Yes, sir, I was trying to, yes.
Okay, I apologize, I just don't have a lot of time. Ms. McGuire?
I think it will take longer to answer than I can give you just the answer.
Okay, thank you. Mayor?
Combination of both.
Okay, Dr. Bitts?
Yes, we need alternatives.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes, we should be mitigating with alternatives.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
A report by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers predicted that the highest point in the village of Newtok, Alaska, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, could be underwater by 2017. A proposed move to higher ground may cost as much as $130 million. A federal government report found more than 180 other native Alaskan villages, or 86% of all native communities, were at risk because of climate change. In the case of Newtok, those effects were potentially life-threatening. Dr. Bitts, is that a true statement?
Yes, I think the permafrost thaw is a factor there, as well as raising sea level and higher storm surge.
All right, and I'd like to ask Ms. McGuire and Mayor Brower, it sounds to me, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm not an expert on this, but it sounds to me like climate change is an absolute threat to the way of life of native Alaskans. Senator McGuire?
Pardon me.
We're not that formal. You can talk.
Through the chair, Senator Sanders, Alaskans are some of the first climate refugees. We're right there at the forefront. And at the state legislative level, we're dealing already with the costs of moving these villages. So you're absolutely right.
All right, so I'm going to get back to the irony, I think, that the senator, he's big into irony. He made a fortune on irony, right?
Small fortune.
It would seem to me, and what I'm hearing from, and you come from an extraordinary state. I've only been there a few days, but it is just an incredibly beautiful state. And I'm sure you're all proud of the beauty of your state, but it would seem to me, if one is concerned about preserving your way of life, that one must be a leader in the fight against climate change. And I understand the economic implications of it, but how can we be talking about producing more oil, which causes climate change, which will be devastating to the communities of native Alaskans? That I don't quite understand. Mayor Brower, do you want to help me out on that one briefly?
I believe that this is a 10,000-year-old question. We never question anything that comes to us. We live with what is come before us.
But this one
but
let me just ask you this. I don't have a whole lot of time. This is not in all due respect, this is not a 10,000-year-old question. Climate change has been significantly accelerated in recent years. The evidence is caused by human activity.
It's cause of the fossil fuels that's coming out, yes, due to climate change.
All right, but then what about the point about you are in, some of you at least, are in favor of more production of fossil fuel, which is ultimately destroying the very communities that your people live in? That does not make a lot of sense to me, in all respect. What am I missing?
Through the chair, the ones that are being more impacted is my region, because that is where the whole activity of oil industry, resource onshore and offshore. And we do have communities in our region that is going through a quite alarming rate of permafrost melting.
And in some years from now, maybe underwater.
And some years now, some villages that have been created were built on frozen lakes. So yes, it's a matter of technology today. If technology were to say that I shouldn't have had Point Lay built and that it was sinking at an alarming rate, then technology, if we were to check, we would have found a more safer place than it is.
Thank you. All right, my time has expired, Madam Chair, but I think this is a your state, your beautiful state, is almost the canary in the coal mine here. Well, I said what I said. Thank you very much.